I'm looking for my pencil pouch with my instructions. I don't know where I put them. Okay, I found it. I found it. Hey, Eon. I'm happy you made it for this. This is the longest devising destiny kind of reading that I have. So I like doing these, even though they take a while usually, because they usually give a lot of information. Dude, where's the instructions? I knew I should have done this before. I'm trying to be like more transparent about my process to do these, because I just feel like, you know, that would be cool. And I was like, yeah, I want to like have this song be in it, but now it's like taking a while. But I did feel like this song was important. It's called Anesthesia by Type of Negative. Alright. I can't find the instructions. And I wonder if that means something. Because normally, like, this tarot spread is like 16 cards. But honestly, the prompt doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what Vicky requested. So I'll let you guys know what Vicky requested. She wanted to discuss some friendship issues that she's having. She feels like she's struggling to like maintain and have those personal, strong, close connections. And then she's also dealing with some insecurities. And then she's also recovering from disordered eating. But I kind of wanted to get like a base background read before I talked about those things specifically, just because I feel like I want to know more about the like themes of her life before I speak about the specifics of her life. So that in mind, I'm just gonna take a more intuitive approach to this, because I'm an artist and I reserve the right to creative license. So we're gonna start with we're gonna use these two oracle decks right here. I'm definitely still gonna take my time with this to make sure we're getting everything that we need to get. But yeah, I got this deck right when I first moved into this town, 29 Palms, from like a local boutique on the street. And I rarely use it, but this is called the Voice of the Soul's Oracle. I've been in a little bit of like this narcissistic energy, and I've been feeling a way about it. I don't know that I'm truly as boisterous as I make myself seem sometimes in the public eye, but I think I make myself boisterous to kind of overcompensate for how quiet I actually can be in your life. So my public persona is an exaggeration, I think, of my truest self. And I think I like that. Like, I think my internal world is a lot more muted. And I think that that makes it so that people have to, like, quiet themselves to meet me where I'm at in my internal world. Like, I don't... Because I'm, like, intentionally condensed in a way, I tend to attract people who are also condensed. And only really feel comfortable around people who, like, are condensed. I need to know that, like, other people have the same... I don't know if I really mean intensity, but it could be that. Like, that's something that's attracted to me. It's not that, like, I could never interact with anybody who was, like, shallower or, like, less deep than me. But I do appreciate when like a person has saturated character, when there's like a lot to that person, even when that person exists in contrast to me. Like I just appreciate when other people have like stuff going on. So yeah, I mean, you talked about having, you know, friendship issues and not really feeling like other people are around, and that being something that concerns you a little bit. And I can relate to that because I don't really have a lot of close friends. Like most of my social interaction comes from Sky. She's a mutual from TikTok that has turned into like one of my most valuable support systems. She actually lives in Texas, so like, I've never even met her in real life. But she was like the person who gave me a Christmas present this year, and I didn't even expect to get anything because like I didn't even really give anything. I didn't even really celebrate the holidays this year. I'm learning more about like my self, right? So like my parents are divorced, and so there's a lot to learn about my parents and the fact that I had split custody. So it's like, you know, I wasn't even really with them all the time. And I'm realizing that like that now more than ever maybe, or to a new degree, when I understand how I was already predisposed to things that I'm thinking of as new. Like preferences that I'm finding that I have that align with origins that I didn't know that existed, basically. So, Voice of the Soul's Oracle. Can you start us out for Vicky's personal reading? What is she needing to know right now? Where's she at? What's going on? This is so cool because I like this new like angle I'm doing. I feel like, you know, welcome to my office. I feel like a real deal therapist. And I never really thought that I was going to be a therapist because I didn't think of myself as like wanting people to just pour onto me. But I find that I like being the pourer, and that I don't really pour in like other areas of life. So this, as the way that I pour, feels good to me. So like you might benefit from finding something to pour yourself into, whether like whatever that thing is. Something to give yourself to devote yourself in service to, and take some of the responsibility off of yourself to give yourself purpose. Like, you know, create goals that give you purpose, like kind of externally, if you're struggling to give it to yourself, like intrinsic motivation. Yeah, we have It's Not Me in the reverse. Like, take yourself kind of out of it. You know, a lot of times when I'm at my worst mental health, I think of myself as living for my pets. You know, like I got to do it for them because I adopted them, and so now they're my responsibility. Like sometimes without that, I don't know why. So putting yourself in service to other things. This is the number 8. I literally just mentioned why that number is significant. Karmic relationship in the reverse. And for me, that person, like, the number 8 reminds me of a person, like a soulmate of mine. And then we have 24 on the next card, like 2 times 4 is 8. What the fuck? I wonder if you have like a romantic situation, like a person. I don't want to like speak all about that, like if this reading isn't all about that, but I will make a note about it, and maybe we can come back to it, if he knows it or whatever. Because why not? I am also maybe going to record a Dear Diary after this, and that's about like a soulmate relationship too. So whatever we don't speak about in this one, maybe like have some relevant themes in that reading if you're interested. But yeah, I'm gonna make a note to come back to romance wherever that feels appropriate. But I don't want to spend too much time on that because I would understand that as being like a side theme. Like with them both coming out in reverse, it's like there may be a person in your life that reflects the work that you need to do inside yourself. And like God has literally given you a person to challenge you in the exact ways that you need to see yourself in a new way, or challenge your previously existing views of yourself or of the world. Like, there's a need for someone to exist in contrast so that you can have reference in a realer way, like outside of theoretical manifestation. Like, this is like, you know, you got really used to reckless driving or speeding, like on this one highway, because you're like, well, I drive this highway every single day. I know this highway. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, there's like a patrol vehicle camped out, and you just got so confident. And then you get checked by the universe to say, like, hey, you aren't invincible. Checks and balances, like even in legal, like I'm getting like this legal Libran kind of energy here, which is an objective like judgment. Like from a higher perspective, were you right or wrong? And how much so, and with what level of arrogance? And if not arrogance, then like insecurity also as another contributor to like motivation. And contributing factors to motivation could be important right now because you're learning about yourself in understanding why you do the things that you do. So when it comes to like having disordered eating, you know, how are you restricting? Are you binging? And then why? Like understanding what the triggers are to the behaviors could be a good way to like not even immediately see that change, but understanding even how to push yourself towards it, how to like do the other background work that makes the urge to restrict or to binge less strong, you know. And those are just examples because I don't know what your exact situation is, but this it's not me thing, it's a mirror in the reverse. So it feels like at times it can be hard to like really look at yourself and how you do what you do. I've had to be like really real with myself recently about how I am and am not taking care of myself. Like I haven't always cared to live, so I think there's a lot about how I live that shows that, and have lived that shows that. And I also haven't always had a lot of empathy, and I think there's a lot about how I live and have lived that shows that too. So just being real with yourself about where your flaws are and how those are manifesting in the material world. Objectively, without judgment towards yourself. I think you're getting a lot of assistance with this because I feel like there are situations coming up in your life to show you this. Burden of tears. So don't be like, yeah, like if you're feeling emotional at this time, especially because you're talking about having disordered eating, and this is the holiday season, you know, like this is a time when you are expected to eat amongst your family, you know. So imagine like if you have some kind of restrictive, you know, tendency, and then now you have the pressure of like pleasing your grandma who made the dish that you really liked when you were 6, and she wants to see you eat it, but you're like, you know, like that's real. And you won't even know like what that's like if you never like been through something like that. But people who have like real deal like tweaks, like little like glitches, understand the extent of what their glitch is. So you may not really be able to communicate to anyone around you what it's like for you to be you. Like there may not be anyone in your real life every day that understands the extent to which you experience or like the intensity of your tribulations. Because maybe you exist in like a minority, like extreme minority, or a contrast. That's why it's really important for you to be able to look at yourself, even though it's hard to do sometimes. Because if you don't even see, then that's like the realest problem. Like if you can't even see yourself, if you don't even know yourself, then you're like vulnerable to a lot of insecurity. Okay, let's build on this. And not even just insecurity and like, oh, I feel bad about myself, right? Because you can be narcissistic and be insecure. Because there's like, oh, there's also like the other side where it's like overcompensation. Hey, I'm Stewie. Maybe even overcompensation through humor. I wasn't allowed to watch adult cartoons. So like I know the character Stewie just through like pop culture reference, but like I never saw, I think it's Family Guy. I never watched that. Or South Park. Like I wasn't even allowed to watch SpongeBob. My mom thought it would make me stupid. And she wanted to not let me watch iCarly. Because they said dang. And like as a kid I wasn't allowed to say dang or what the heck. So I'm getting like a strict kind of like background. Not that I really think of my upbringing as like that strict, but it's restrictive. And I'm talking about your like, you never said what your disordered eating was, but I'm picking up on a restrictive vibe. Regardless, I'm picking up on like a Saturnian thing. So there's like an expectation. I feel like there's like a pressure stimulus to this. For me, I think I probably would I probably fall into some kind of restrictive category because I don't really eat a lot. I'm more of like a drinker, like a drink. Katrina just asked if I'm doing personal readings. No, this is a personal reading, but I'm not taking her class. I'm already in the flow of doing one right now. But if you want to book, totally do. Link in bio. But I don't want to say I'm anorexic, but I think I definitely did have times when I was in high school. I used to like pop mints. Like I would if I got like if I got hungry and I felt like the hunger urge, I would just eat a mint and trick my mind into like suppressing the stimulus. And then it got to a point where like my body didn't even register hunger, like, and I lost a lot of weight because I used to be like around 20-30 pounds heavier than I am now. And I don't know if I did or did not mean to do that, but it did happen. So for me, like, I always really felt like it was important to be pretty. Like there was that pressure on me, and my mom had similar restrictive habits, so it was something that like was normal. Like she used to talk about how like when she was my age, like high school age, she would just eat like one bag of like popcorn a day and be fine. And I was like, okay. And like it was like that was like a regular thing. Like it wasn't like, I'm not even trying to talk bad about like that as an example. It was just that's just how she was. So like that's how I became like, and it paid off, like and that's the thing about it for me is like I started to not even really mind that my eating habits were not common because I liked having extraordinary results. So like I like the way that I look when I restrict. And I don't know like if I'm even the one to get advice from, because I would hate to sound like I'm saying like, yeah, disordered eating is cool, but like, nourish yourself as much as you need to. I'm more of an intuitive eater, I let myself do what I feel like I need to do as I feel like I need to do it. And maybe that could be something like with this burden of tears that you might benefit from, is like giving yourself less of a standard on how to be. Like maybe just accepting, yeah, like, it is disordered, but like how much of that is just natural to who I am And how much of that do I actually need to resist? Like, am I, how, like, you know, you'll know where you are, because if you're in true genuine danger of like being like about to die because you're like not eating enough to like dude totally eat something. But if you're like just like, hey, I'm noticing that I really, you know, pressure myself in this one way and it has this result, then it's like, first it's just important to know that that's the thing that's happening. Even if this wasn't an eating disorder and this is like an addiction, because like those things are kind of similar, and you're like, well, hey, like I'm like really addicted to this thing, like I can't stop doing this thing, and like that might feel scary from like being in a position of not being able to stop, but it's less scary as time goes on after you already realize that. How this doesn't sound like crackpot advice, but like it's like let's say for example I'm a stoner, right? And I'm like, man, I'm smoking a lot and it's starting to affect my availability for other things. So once I notice that, when I notice myself like want to go smoke, I can start to ask myself, hey, is this getting in the way of me doing the things I need to do? And now that I already have an awareness of the fact that sometimes it gets in the way, I can start to ask myself, hey, is this getting in the way right now? Right now, is it getting in the way? And then through that like process, I can start to be more aware of my own tendency to be an addict in that particular way. And through that, I can moderate myself without having to like completely like put some pressure on myself to stop doing something that I like to do and that I'm addicted to doing, you know? Because like, why would I put myself in a position to like disappoint myself when obviously I have a dependency on a way of being? I think it's better to make gradual change than it is to like condemn yourself into shame and try to like, I mean, rarely does that actually work, I would say. Not that it's impossible. There's been times when like I had to call myself out, or I was called out on something so in such a way that like I knew in that moment I needed to change immediately. And that's real too. But like most people, I would assume people who feel integral don't have as many experiences like that. And I do feel generally integral. Like I don't walk around, you know, feeling like the worst person on earth. Like I have that going for me, I guess. We have the communicator number 15 affirmation. I remember that my words can have multiple meanings. And it's just these guys chilling, hanging out. And then we have a couple. I kind of do feel like we might talk about romance a little bit. We have the lustful 32 affirmation. I embrace my individuality and sexuality as sacred gifts. Naked angel lady person. I'm covering the crotch, not because anything's actually showing. I think this is like a little androgynous guy. I don't know. There's just a cloth there, but I'm worried that YouTube might interpret it as like sculpture PP. We have the Tamer 38 affirmation. I believe my cause to be just without anger at those who disagree. And that looks like that. And we have an odd number here, which is kind of frustrating. 40. I'm picking up on like aesthetics as being significant for you. Like you being maybe even a curator of the vibe, needing to present always in a way that you feel proud of. Affirmation, I hold fast to my goals and ideals as I persevere. And like it's hard to always maintain a vision of you, yourself, your life as ideal, especially if it's like not. And the truth of it is that it's not. So like cut yourself some slack. Give yourself a break for the ways that you are human and how that's showing right now. Like in your identity and your public reputation, like where you're taking L's, and like, you know, I'm hearing it in my head like, everybody hurts. Like everybody hurts. It's important to know that. Because if you're not already like experiencing grief now, then that just means it's on the horizon. You know, like if you're like, there is no avoidance of the full spectrum of human emotion. Like at any point in time, you're gonna have to walk through a doorway into a negative emotion that triggers some kind of growth. So when you stop avoiding pain, you just move through pain, and you start to move through pain like way easier. So this is like an opportunity for you to learn how to move through your personal pain and potentially like gain some kind of even stronger internal resolve that results in stronger integrity, like solidifies you, cements you. Because like I mentioned this like marble sculpture kind of figure thing, like you're being carved. I talked about how like my restrictive habits are have resulted in my physique, you know, and you know people fast it religiously. You know, I don't really think of how I eat as being like fasting per se, but like you know if I eat like once a day and usually like in the nighttime hours, like I guess that's kind of like fasting. So there could be like once again I don't know what the specifics are of your situation, so I'm just like providing inspiration here for your own like thoughts and decisions. But you know, there could be some kind of deeper level of significance to whatever your patterns are that you're noticing in yourself. And it's great that you are noticing those patterns because it shows that you're aware of yourself. And not everyone is. Like, not everyone is. You know, body dysmorphia is a real thing. I don't know to what extent you feel like you might have that. But maybe also consider that if you are seeing yourself as something that's like not ideal, and that's a basis or like foundation for the need to restrict or binge or whatever, there consider that you already are maybe more ideal than you might think. But there might be less of a need to change, especially if that's in any way to cater towards a romantic soulmate connection. Because I did mention that 8 character. Because I don't think that that situation or like is actually applying that kind of pressure if you are perceiving it. And if you are perceiving that kind of pressure from that situation from like a soulmate, then that's probably not one that you need to be like focused too seriously on, at least not in this present moment. You know, that would indicate like if you're dealing with a relationship partner that puts pressure on your figure to like look a way that it doesn't and like makes you feel away. I would say that it might be something you need to put some distance between. Because like I think you're in a place in your life where you're benefiting from accepting what is natural about you so that you can operate better and more efficiently in what is natural about you so that you can expound on that and then create new use from that. You're still perfecting, it seems. So too much like external interference in that can slow you down from getting to where you need to be if you didn't have that. So try to like quiet out the external noise whenever you can, because there could be just like, you know, people around you making you feel like you need to be or do in a certain way. Like I mentioned the whole like holiday celebrating and you having an eating disorder and that maybe being uncomfortable because there's an expectation of like you being at the table and partaking in the eating. So, you know, accept what's uncomfortable about the situation. Don't like run away from that. Maybe explain yourself, maybe don't, but like don't run away from what you're seeing about yourself and what you're seeing about other people who exist like as peers or who exist in contrast. I think you're getting a lot of different perspectives. maybe even having the opportunity to witness reflections of your life in other people's lives so that you can learn from them, like as an as a almost like a voyeur. It's interesting. Okay. So I'm trying to think, where do I want to take this next? You mentioned having some friendship issues. So let's talk about those. Like, what are those? what are those? Okay, yeah, I grew up kind of like low income. Like, I had a single mom with 4 kids. And I didn't even have like economic like awareness until like middle school. I literally remember, and it was because someone what are those to me. It was in, I think, my Spanish class in like 7th grade. I was wearing like knockoff Vans from like TJ Maxx or like Marshalls or whatever. And like I was like, whatever, like these are just cool shoes. You couldn't even really like tell that much. So like I was like, whatever. And then somebody was like, what are those? And I was like, oh shit. My shits are not the shits, you know? And then there was like a moment of insecurity there. And I was like, oh, I don't have the shits that other people have. And yeah, I don't know. I think situations like that are just kind of like there to put some dog in you. Like it just kind of motivates you to want to kind of go and get it. Like, at least from my perspective, like my breeding, like whenever I became aware of somewhere I was deficient, I wanted to fill the gap. Like I then had to like, I was then inspired to become better. Bless you, cat. Dude, I'm like thirsty now. Hold on. I need some water. I can't some water. I suddenly just got like really thirsty. My cat sneezed. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. And you know what? I did go on to become that same evil. I did then go on to what are those other people once I got up, you know? So yeah, so the wheel just keeps on turning, really. Like, I don't know if you ever resonated with having been bullied, but maybe there were also times where you were a bully. One of my biggest regrets in life was bullying my little sister. I bullied the fuck out of my little sister, and I have to admit it. Like, I literally apologized to her. I literally, like, in all vulnerability, have basically bent the knee and was like, dude, I'm sorry for whatever, like, psychological damage I gave you. Because she, I grew up when I was a kid, I had a bunch of, like, gaps in between my teeth. Like, and I kind of was insecure about that because I had, like, gaps in between my teeth. My baby teeth were small. And my, like, adult teeth came in big. But when they came in pretty much, like, in order. But my siblings, like, they had straighter teeth when they were kids. And, when their adult teeth came in, they were a little bit more crowded because that's the genes from my mom's side. And when my sister grew up, she had, like, this one particular tooth that grew up in the front row. And, like, you know, my mom's side has, like, the shark teeth, and that's their thing. Like, they literally, like, row. Like part of the reason why I have fangs is like carnivorous ass motherfuckers is where I come from. So, like, you know, she had a front row of a tooth, and I used to call her like 3D tooth, and it was like for me the funniest thing, and for her probably a source of a lot of insecurity, and like she wasn't able to escape whatever insecurity she felt, like maybe in school with other people who probably gave her similar responses, because like as soon as she came home, like I'm on her ass, you know, like it just I from like once I stepped out of myself, I started to realize like, hey, I'm like a real jackass. You know, and then I was like, I wish I could have like realized that sooner, because I'm sure I was like a villain for her, like seriously, like a major point of like, you know, and I was kind of like an older masculine like brother force in the home. Like I was like mean and aggressive in like a, and often like in a protective way, but like I feel like I was a chaotic force, and that I was meant to be that, and I had no choice but maybe to be that. But I also understand that I was that, and I have a way, I feel a way about it. Like yeah, I probably did do some damage in the lives of those people that I do care about. Not even really because I'm meant to, but because of how I naturally am. And that's kind of like makes it feel worse sometimes. It's like, man, I naturally was a hindrance to the growth of others. But that's life. Like you can never really avoid that, and it shouldn't be avoided. You know, those kinds of more difficult relationships. I think it's better to like go through a hard thing and then have the ability to apologize for the hard thing, and then build that bond over like overcoming the hard thing. You know, like yeah, I did that terrible thing to you, but then I realized that I did that terrible thing, and then I apologized, and then you understood and saw my growth, and then believed in it. And then we continued forward from there. That's like what? Like what more could I want out of a relationship than the ability to overcome obstacles? Because there's going to be obstacles. Like there's no way that I could ever commit to being perfect for any other person. Like it's impossible. So more about these friendship issues. What could they be? What could be Vicky's friendship issues right now? What are those? We have the 5 of Swords. Yeah, it just feels like comparison, maybe. Because like I said, what are those again? It's like, you know, how am I measuring up to those around me? How do I rank in the eyes of others? How do I get from my current position to like a better one? And does that actually require like what kind of change is that? Like, is that an internal change or is that an external change? Because you might think that it needs to be something outside of you, but maybe there's a internal thing. Yeah, I just heard, are you a leader or a follower? And then the strength comes out and it's like this warrior dude. So I want to tell you about this thing. I used to be a basic bitch, and a lot of times when you hear me talking down on other like women, because I do sometimes, because I'm a human being, but like I have this thing against the basic bitch archetype. Like I think it's terrible when women are boring, and a lot of women are boring not because they actually are boring, but just because they're afraid to have their own personalities, because they're afraid to like stand out too much. Because women, you know, we're bred to find safety in groups and acceptance from other people around us. Like we need to feel like, well, most of us need to feel like other people are okay with us in our presence for us to continue on in that space and like in a direction, because most of us are small and vulnerable. But for me, I'm very grateful that I was put in this like masculine build. Like I was made tall and I was given like intelligence that makes me respected as a masculine force, because I was able to take a lot of like freedom in individuating. Like I have less need to be afraid and standing alone than I think a lot of other women do. But I had my first major opportunity to practice standing alone in my identity when COVID hit. in high school. Because I was like always in student like government. Like I did have that like social climber like aspiration always. Like I wanted to be popular and people to like me, and I was good at getting people to like see me that way because one, I was already tall. I've usually been conventionally attractive, and then once again I'm also like academically achieving. So I already had a lot of the markers of what people were looking for in leadership at that age group anyways. But when we left school and I was no longer like ruling from a physical presence, it became important for me to have like something to contribute. And because everything kind of went online, a lot of what I was contributing transferred into my social media platforms. So even before I started my business after high school, I had already started to like invest a lot more into like a curated public image of myself. Um, and I had more freedom in what I was creating myself as because I was receiving less of that direct feedback from people around me. Like, I was able to be myself and not hear anybody's mouth about it or have to see anybody's facial response to it. It was just like, I say what I want to say, and what I said was what I said. Like, fuck what you felt about it, you know? And that gave me, like, a lot of audacity. And I think people appreciate that about me, is like my willingness to assert opinions that are like brave, that like are true, that speak to their internal world in a way that maybe is more confident than what they would put into words, or feel like they have the freedom to put into words or action. So I think you would benefit from being more audaciously yourself. Like, you might be a person who exists at a certain polarity, but there are other people there too. Or to a certain extreme. Like, I'm thinking of the movie Twister, because the main character, Bill, they call him the extreme. And Twister's a movie about like storm chasers. Like, they go around chasing tornadoes so that they can put their scientific tornado measuring tool into the tornado, but they have to get like they have to drive super close to the tornado to get it in there. So they're like risking their life every time they try to put it up there. It's a cool movie if you want to watch it. And there's also a romantic relationship tied into that too, that has like an initial phase, a long separation, a third party, and then a reunion. Storm Chaser reminds me of Top Gun. Seven of Swords. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could be kind of like hiding away from people, and you probably are just practiced in that way of being. So you kind of need to like choose to be in a different way if you want to really be in a different way. Like, this kind of feels like The Outcasts, like The Outsiders, the book. I heard like you could feel scapegoated, like you're being already like nobody puts baby in the corner kind of thing, like you're being put on the outside, made to feel in some way rejected. So like, if these are like your own friends and they're like being mean to you, why are they? Yeah, like, you know, like ask yourself, why are these people around me? Like, and if it's not your friends, it could be like family too. But be aware of how other people are making you feel, maybe even especially if you're like sharing like drinks with these people or like partaking in celebrations with these people. Because there can be a value to like going your own way. And if not like for always, then just for a time. to become more clear for yourself about what your direction is without the influence or like 2 cents of other people. Because there could be a lot of people who want to put their 2 cents in your life, like want to be in the driver's seat of your life, and it's because they kind of like want to live your life. So maybe be aware of that, where that exists, like where other people are putting themselves in the driver's seat. I just thought of my little sister. I just looked over my shoulder. Yeah. Because sometimes, like, she told me, well, didn't tell me, but she posted, like, on her story about how she, like, she's in college now. It's crazy. But she's, like, going out and drinking with her friends and stuff like that. And, like, she's like, she just gets drunk and, like, lets people just drive her around. And I'm like, dude, you terrify me. Because she's a trusting person. She believes in fairness. And she believes that exists outside of her, maybe more than it does. Because she's so concerned with doing right, she anticipates that in other people. So, yeah. Like, maybe not all of your friends are actually your friends. And try to accept that when that's being revealed to you sooner than later. Because the later you wait, the harder it is to get out of a situation. Because you're kind of already in it. Like, I just thought about Coraline, like Other Mother. Like, as soon as you get offered the buttons for eyes, don't, like, second guess it. Like, recognize, hey, you want to take my eyes. And understand what that means about that person's motivations. Understand what that means. Like, don't, like, shy away from those more independent times in your life. Don't resist those more independent times of your life. You don't have to be in the scene, in the crowd, or active just because that's what other people are doing. Because, like, the strength that you're cultivating right now seems to be that more personal strength. We have the Three of Pentacles. Talks about, like, community spaces. Can be, like, the gym, the workplace, classroom, church. Eight of Swords. This is the upright. Dude's all mummified and shit. But it came out in the reverse. Underneath Strength, which is that warrior dude. Then we have the Queen of Wands in the reverse. Indicates kind of like a confidence, and that's coming out top of the Seven of Swords, which is the guy sneaking away. And then we have Ten of Pentacles. Big time rush. Bottom of the deck is the Four of Pentacles. When you go big time, listen to your heart now. Don't you feel a rush? Cause you only live once, so you gotta live it big time. You're like, go big or go home. Like, it's kind of like the name of the game right now. What would you do if there was no limits on what you could do? And who can you share your ambitions with? If you're gonna spend time with other people, make sure that those people are productive towards your goals. Like, that is like, you know, this is masculine energy. We have Leo here, fixed fire, and then we have the Tower, which is Mars, Aries, and Scorpio as like the major elements here. So it's like fiery energy. And what's not fire is fixed water. So it's like resolve. You benefit from having direction and understanding of why you're moving in the direction, so you can put all of your energy or like momentum behind moving in that direction. So if you don't have resolve, you need to go within yourself to find that resolve. So other people don't even really seem like they're that important if they're not directly related to how you're getting that resolve. Like if they don't contribute to stability, they don't need to be around. Because it seems important for you right now to protect whatever good things are in your life, even if those things are few and far between. It's hard for you to do that when there's a lot of interference. Static. Hey man, look at me rocking out, I'm on the radio. I think you already exist in some level of privilege in your life, and that's part of the reason why there would be so much static, because people are looking in on your life. Like there's some kind of level of availability where people can literally like maybe look into your life and they're like, ugh! You know, and I feel like there is like some kind of hater ass energy around you, and it could be people not even really meaning to be a hater, or just being so practiced in their hate that they don't even register that like the impact of it. But you know, I wonder also if your insecurity is a byproduct of your awareness of other people's criticism, because that's something that I've noticed in myself, right? Like I have a Virgo moon, Virgo rising, and this is like, I love it because I can like create an image of perfection. Like I know exactly how to do it because I know what other people are seeing. Like how do I explain this? It's like I know what other people like are seeing and want to see, and I know how to like put myself into the shape of that. Does that make sense? It sounds so bad, but I just have an insane amount of like detail awareness. Like I know how to. I notice everything, and I notice what other people notice, and I know how to anticipate what they will notice, and you know, psychologically, like I think I have a pretty good understanding of human nature, and that's what allows me to be able to like do things like this, right? Like I recognize patterns really easily, so I can create combinations of patterns that replicate real things. And that's like coding, you know, like it's, I have a matrix poster on my wall, like you can't see it, but I'm a master of my own universe, and through that level of mastery I can manipulate things, and I do that because that's part of my birthright. I am a manipulator of things. But yeah, like that's part of this like independent value that I think you may be meant to be cultivating right now, like in your life, is, am I a master of my universe, and how can I become more master of my universe? And I hope that there's something that I've said today that brings you closer to that goal. I want to see more masters of the universe. So yeah, fuck the friends and whatever issues they're bringing you, because they're not even important to the fact that you're a master of the universe, and that's your potential here that you should be cultivating. And your definition of what that is yours to make, you know? Like, a lot of the issues that you've mentioned struggling with, I struggle with myself, and I feel that I can still be a master of the universe despite all those things. So I hope that you have that same confidence. Like, you don't really need support in this energy if you're not getting it. Like, it doesn't matter, because you yourself are the master of the universe. What the fuck do you need anybody's support for, you know? Because, like, I feel like people struggle to see your perspective. Like, I mentioned it before. Like, especially if you're, like, this mummified thing. Mummy warrior. Like, stoic vibes. And you don't even, like, express anyways. Like, you're on a mission. Like, you know? No one would know. How would they know? How could they know what it means for you to be you? Like, honestly. So, don't even, like, waste your time worrying about how it seems. In fact, like you can choose, and this is what I choose to do a lot of the times. When I feel insecure about a thing, I will like bring attention to the thing on purpose and then be like arrogant about it. And I'll be like, I'm proud of this thing. Like this thing that I'm obviously insecure about, I'm actually proud of it. I'm gonna tell you that like this is something that I don't care that exists and that is not a thing that makes me insecure. Because I don't like for other people to understand how to access me in that way. Like in my sensitivity. And I'd rather present myself as not having a sensitivity in the areas where I have the most sensitivity. So that's just a little insight to my psychology. Is I'm the type to overcompensate where I'm weak. But I find that that serves me well, you know? I find that it serves me well. Because I know how to do that in ways that make me appear strong. I know how to like present my weaknesses as strengths. I encourage you to find like ways to make your weaknesses into strengths. Like I'm like when I go to church, you know, I'm not really good at small talk with like the women that tend to approach me. And I find that, you know, when it comes to social decorum and like, you know, all that stuff, I can be easily outmaneuvered by women. So, you know, I find that there is a strength in being more silent, making my responses something that have to be earned. You know, so figuring out like what you need to do, how you need to like change your strategy to reflect the respect or status that you want to be seen held in. Because like other than that, if I don't like put an increased value on my participation, it's hard for me to not be outmaneuvered. I hope that makes sense. Okay. What else did I write down? Okay, we wanted to talk a little bit about romance, right? So why not? Fucking meatball. So let me just stretch. Let's talk about love. Love. Top of the deck is still the lustful. Hey man, look at me rocking the video. And then the communicator is underneath that. So, yeah. I don't want to speak too soon about anything. Let's just see what the cards are talking about. What is this romantic situation that's I'm picking up on for Vicky? The Hermit card is Virgo energy. I'm getting like in my head as I'm shuffling these cards, like lots of ideas on things that I should do that I'm not going to do. Like it's like this, oh, I should do this. No, it's okay, I'm not gonna do that. Oh, I should do this. No, it's okay, I'm not gonna do that. Like there could be some like process, where like one or you or both of you are like indecisive, you know, like I don't know, or like in some way repositioning yourselves, trying to figure out like what position you need to be in to feel comfortable, to relax, to submit. This is the High Priestess, so it's like usually a mute woman who knows everything. She doesn't really speak about what she knows, but she knows. So this could be a time when you even could be like observing each other. And if not like in physical presence, then energetically. Like, you could be picking up on this person in dream state, especially because this is like Pisces energy, 12th house. Yeah, like Knight of Swords in reverse, there's like subconscious thoughts. Like, you could pick up on this person's desires of you, towards you, with you, whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if you get like visions of like a life with this person, or if there's like actual things in your life that show up to reinforce your vision of yourself as being connected to this person. Like, in their absence, there are representations of this person so that they are not ever completely absent. Like, you have reminders, maybe like on a constant basis, so that you can't forget. What's that song? So We Won't Forget, by like whatever that is. Okay, and I'm also hearing that's life. If we had more time, we could live forever. Just you and I, we could be together. That's life. If we have more time, we could live forever. Just you and I, we could be together. We have the Three of Wands in the reverse. So it's like a guy looking over the cliff. He's like, man, what's over there? In the reverse, it's like, man, I have absolutely no idea what's over there. So like, it's not as optimistic. Maybe like from your current position, you just have no idea how things are gonna get like better, or like what's next. Or how, I'm just heard how the fuck we got to where we started. Just let them feel where we started. Excuse me. Knight of Swords again in the reverse. Interesting, because this is a guy moving towards another guy. See how he's like running towards that other dude? I'm kind of thinking about a couple of things here. On one hand, there could be some like energy of like spiritual warfare at play, where like people are like, once again, there's interfering forces, so there could be like the inspiration of doubt. So be aware of that, where that comes in and when that happens. But then there's also like this other thing where it's like, a confirmation of the fact that you're having internal reinforcements at the same time of why you should continue. So there's like maybe equal and opposite forces here in your life. And that's why there's like maybe this indecision, because it's like maybe some days you feel like this is something that you still want to move towards, and then some days you're like, I don't know what that is. It's like an inconsistency within yourself, and maybe that's just part of you figuring out your current position, or like what you want to believe, what you want to think, how you want to feel. And like, it's up to you. There's no need for you to pressure yourself to think or feel any one way right now. And whatever choices you are making about this relationship, you know, there's ways back. There's ways back. I don't know what exactly I mean by that. So it's like, if there has been a mistake, you know, there's the possibility to turn around. Or that someone who has maybe like left or departed from your space could return. You know, like when separations are initiated, there's an impermanence to them. And when situations are difficult, there's an impermanence to that as well in this energy. So that might help you to like maintain your position if you are in a position of insecurity right now, and you have a desire ultimately to stay connected with this person. You know, I can see how the situation could resolve itself and you not even really be a part of that directly. Like this person, like if there has been a separation, this could be them returning to you in their own timing, and you not really having any part or being able to really foresee that. So in the meantime, it's like, you gotta just give up what you can't control. in reverse. Dude, Eon literally said the Hermit card. That is crazy. Crazy. Pretty cool skills there. Pretty cool flex. What else? And the Eight of Swords in reverse. And he literally said that like right before we even started. Like, before I even like, that's crazy, dude. Yeah, you know, like there could be something about this matchup where like it reflects yourself. Like, you know, like your game level is an equal matchup to this person's game level. And that's becoming maybe clear. It's like how you are, you can see in this person because of how they have like intentionally been put in your life to reflect you and your power level. You know, I just thought about Broly. And he's like, what's your power level? And then I also was talking before about like how it doesn't even matter like who's kicking it with you right now because you're just cultivating substance. Like you're in that substance cultivation phase. So you're building your power level. If there's already a soulmate, they're probably doing the same thing. And then like next time you guys link up, you'll be on a different power level. And you'll have opportunities then to be like, once again, aware and like proud of yourself. For your like elevation, like she's floating above a city. This Pisces energy is the opposite to the Virgo Hermit energy. But those opposites are like necessary, you know, yin and yang. I'm hearing for some reason the little song from Tangled. Flowers gleam and glow, let your power shine. Something. Take back what once was mine. What once was mine. And that's like the second evil mother that I've referenced, I think, in this reading. Like first it was Coraline with the button eyes, and now it's the you know, evil witch lady from the tower who wanted to steal her daughter's hair. Or healing power. So watch out for evil moms. Or they apply. I also did a little Archer thing earlier. And Archer's mom, Mallory, she's a bitch. So just keep an eye out for evil feminine archetypes. The lovers. Gemini, Virgo, and Pisces energy has been significant so far. Ace of Swords in reverse. King of Cups in reverse. Judgment, that's Libra. And then the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Ace of Cups in reverse. I just did my grandpa's knock on this card. So, ancestral protection is always relevant. That's here. If you need extra help, like if you're feeling overwhelmed, talk to your ancestors. And you know, I said grandfather, so this could also just like reference a father figure, any kind of masculine, paternal, disciplinarian father figures. This could even be like religious leaders that you trust, you know. Yeah, there could be support here in masculine or opposite energy. If you're like feminine, then like you might need to find support in masculine. If you're masculine, you might need to find support in feminine. And I think that that balance exists in this relationship, like the soulmate relationship, like in its highest potential. Like you guys are really good at comforting each other. You know how to naturally. And you will continue to like remember each other for how good of a fit you are to each other. You're distinguished from like what exists around for that like god tier matchup. because it is recognized like on both sides as like God tier, like as something of value to be fostered over the long term. So there's not like a misunderstanding of value or of potential. It's more like an inability to actualize it in the current moment. So that might help you if you've been feeling a little insecure about like a particular relationship. Like, why am I not getting things here or seeing progress here? I think you are seeing progress here. It's just not showing up like tangible stuff. Like, it's the Ace of Swords and the Ace of Cups. That's more like the expansions are happening, or like, oh, I watched you go through this and I really liked how you handled that, or you know, I bonded with you when you did this and I was there, and or you know, like something like that. It's more like how I see you, how I feel about you, what you mean to me. That's kind of like what it's developing, more than like your ability to like touch, feel, hold, all that stuff. So try to see it that way. If you're struggling to understand the value of your current position on like the chessboard, because someone may have had to like move away from you for the strategic value of doing that. With that Libran energy of judgment, like that would have been the maybe like head over heart thing to do. So always consider that, like, you know, like we're, because like I mentioned how my sister was like, you know, the fair rational one, but like where you may be like I don't know, I'm getting like there's like a like once again that opposite energy of like the Virgo and Pisces. Virgo being that like fair, rational, objective, practical, and then Pisces being that more like idealized, emotional, spiritual, lustful energy. So there's like one person who maybe exists more in like a dream, and the other person who exists more in like the world in a way, and that could like you know, both of you could be both of you, but and likely are, because of the fact that you guys are soulmates. So where one of you exists in one way, the other one will exist in the other way, and that's part of the balance. That's how you were meant to like inspire each other to grow. Okay, so yeah, that's that on that. Hey Panini, howdy doodle. It's funny that you said like it's kind of like the end of the reading, but yeah, Vicky, thank you so much for getting this, and I hope that you enjoyed it and that you got everything that you could possibly need out of it. So yeah, thanks. Bye. Doodles.